Are you struggling to pass the CompTIA Security Plus exam? Or maybe you just want to test your knowledge before the big day? Well, you are in the right place. Today we are diving into 50 must-know Security Plus practice questions with full explanation to help you crush the exam on your first try. Whether you are prepping for the test or just sharpening your skills, these questions will challenge you and reinforce what really matters. Stick around till the end because I will explain not just the answers but why they are correct. And if you are serious about passing, I also have a free full CompTIA Security Plus course right here on this channel. Check the description for the link. Alright, let's jump in. Your Security Plus success starts now. Question number 51. An e-commerce company sets a recovery point objective that is RPO of 15 minutes for its online ordering system. If there is a system outage, what aspects should be prioritized to ensure compliance with RPO? So remember that recovery point objective deals with the recovery or backup of data. So this is a clue or hint this question. And the options are option A, maintaining a high availability environment for the ordering system. Option B, conducting regular drill to test the system's uptime and reliability. Option C, implementing real-time or near real-time data replication. And option D, outsourcing the management of the ordering system to a third-party provider. And the correct option is, as I said, the recovery point objective deals with the data backup or data replication. So the correct option is implementing real-time or near real-time data replication. And the explanation is the recovery point objective defines how much data loss is acceptable in the event of a failure, the failure of this online ordering system. An RPO of 15 minutes means the system must be able to recover all data up to 15 minutes before the outage. To achieve this, the organization must ensure that data is backed up or replicated at least every 15 minutes, ideally in real time or near real time, so that no more than 15 minutes of data is lost. So why the other options are incorrect? Option A, high availability ensures that the system stays online, but it's more relevant to RTO, that is recovery time objective, than RPO. Option B, regular drills help validate recovery processes and uptime, but they do not directly ensure data is captured within 15-minute intervals. And option D, outsourcing might or might not meet the RPO depending on the provider's capabilities. It's not inherently a solution for RPO compliance. So this is how RPO look like. So let's suppose if we take the backup of our system at this point in time, let's suppose this is 11 o'clock, then we must take another backup at 11:15, no later than 11:15. So this is 15-minute interval. And if there is disaster at some point in time, we may expect the data loss of no more than 15 minutes. So this interval may be 10 minutes, maybe 8 minutes, but it will be always less than 15 minutes. Question number 52. A cybersecurity analyst is tasked with acquiring data from a mobile device as part of an investigation in unauthorized access to corporate data. What should be the analyst's first action to ensure a proper and forensically sound acquisition of the data from the mobile device? And the options are option A, connecting the mobile device to the corporate network to document its current state. Option B, placing the mobile device in airplane mode to prevent remote wiping or data alteration. Option C, performing a factory reset on the mobile device to analyze its baseline security settings. And option D, immediately starting the data extraction process using the first available tool. And the correct option is placing the mobile device in airplane mode to prevent remote wiping or data alteration. And the explanation is, so the first step in a forensically sound acquisition of data from a mobile device is to preserve the evidence. Mobile devices are vulnerable to remote access, wiping, or alteration, especially if they are connected to cellular or Wi-Fi networks. Placing the device in airplane mode prevents it from communicating with external sources, ensuring that no remote commands can modify or delete the data. This is a critical preservation step before any data extraction or analysis takes place. So remember, whenever there is an incident and we need to acquire the evidence for some investigation or forensic, the most important and the foremost uh, important step is to preserve the evidence as it is, to prevent the evidence from being changed or from being tampered during or before the investigation. Question number 53. A small business has recently contracted with a third party vendor to manage its network infrastructure. The vendor will be responsible for maintaining network security, hardware, and software updates. In this context, which of the following should the small business prioritize to maintain a secure and reliable network environment? And the options are option A, delegating all security responsibilities to the vendor to maximize efficiency. Option B, establishing a clear service level agreement or SLA with defined security responsibilities. Option C, choosing a vendor based solely on the recommendation of a trusted business partner. And option D, focusing exclusively on the cost savings achieved by outsourcing network management. And the correct option is option B, establishing a clear service level agreement with defined security responsibilities. And the explanation is, so when a business outsources critical functions like network management, it must ensure that security responsibilities, performance expectations, and compliance requirements are clearly documented. This is done through a service level agreement or SLA. A well defined SLA helps avoid confusion and ensure accountability for both the business and the vendor. So, why the other options are incorrect? Option A, delegating all security responsibilities without oversight is risky. The business still shares responsibility and must ensure security controls are enforced. Option C, choosing a vendor based on a recommendation without proper evaluation may lead to poor security or service gaps. And option D, focusing only on cost savings overlooks critical aspects like security, performance, and support, which could result in greater losses in the long run. So, SLA is basically an agreement between the client and the provider, and this agreement documents the service requirements, and based on the service delivery, the client can then give feedback to the provider that the delivery of the service is according to and up to the performance documented in SLA or otherwise. Question number 54. A multinational corporation is updating its web filtering policies to include advanced URL scanning techniques to protect against web based threats. To maximize the effectiveness of the URL scanning while maintaining business efficiency, which two of the following actions should the IT security team take? Select two options, and the options are option A, implement category category-based filtering in addition to URL scanning to block access to known harmful categories of websites. Option B, allow all encrypted, that is HTTPS URLs to bypass the scanning process to respect privacy. Option C, regularly review and update the URL scanning criteria to adapt to evolving web threats. And option D, configure the URL scanner to block all unknown URLs as a precautionary measure. And the correct options are Option A, implement category-based filtering in addition to URL scanning to block access to known harmful categories of websites. And option C, regularly review and update the URL scanning criteria to adapt to evolving web threats. And the explanation is, so option A, category based filtering complements URL scanning by preemptively blocking entire categories of websites known to pose risks, for example, malware, adult content, and gambling. This reduces exposure and lowers the scanning workload. Option C, regularly uploading URL scanning criteria ensures that the system stays effective against new threats such as phishing sites, malware delivery domains, or newly compromised URLs. So why the other options are incorrect? Option B, allowing all encrypted, that is HTTPS URLs to bypass scanning would create a major blind spot as most modern web threats now use HTTPS. A secure way to inspect HTTPS traffic, for example, SSL infections, should be implemented instead. Option D, blocking all unknown URLs may lead to high false positive, disrupting business productivity and access to legitimate but lesser known sites. Question number 55, an organization is enhancing the security of its email server. The server currently uses port 25 for SMTP, that is Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, which does not offer encryption. To improve email security, which port should the organization configure for secure email transmission using SMTP with TLS, that is Transport Layer Security? And the options are option A, port 110, commonly used for POP3 to diversify the protocol usage. Option B, port 143, typically used for IMAP to enhance compatibility with email clients. Option C, port 587, recommended for secure SMTP submission with TLS. And option D, port 80, standard for HTTP to utilize a commonly open port. And the correct option is option C, port 587, recommended for secure SMTP submission with TLS, that is Transport Layer Security. And the explanation is, so port 587 is the standard port used for SMTP with start TTLS encryption, which upgrades an insecure connection to a secure one using Transport Layer Security, that is TLS. This port is specifically designed for email submission from clients to servers and is recommended by the IETF standards for secure email transmission. Why the other options are incorrect? Option A, port 110 is for POP3, not SMTP, and does not improve security for sending email. Option B, port 143 is used for IMAP, which is for retrieving email, not sending it. And option D, port 80 is for HTTP, not email. Using it for SMTP would violate standards and offer no security benefit. Question number 56. An energy company is conducting a series of simulation exercises to prepare for various cybersecurity threats, including ransomware attacks, DDoS attacks, and insider threats. The exercises aim to improve the company's resilience and readiness. What key elements should be included in the simulation exercises to ensure comprehensive preparation? And again, we have to select two options, and the options are option A, focusing exclusively on the technical aspects of threat mitigation. Option B, involving stakeholders from IT, legal, HR, and executive management. Option C, documenting and reviewing the outcome to identify areas for improvement. And option D, limiting the scenarios to most likely and common cyber threats. And the correct options are option B, involving stakeholders from IT, legal, HR, and executive management. And option C, documenting and reviewing the outcomes to identify areas for improvements. And the explanation is so option B, involving stakeholders from IT, legal, HR, and executive management ensures a cross functional response. Cybersecurity incidents often have technical, legal, operational, and reputational impacts, including all relevant departments prepare the organization to respond holistically. Option C, documenting and reviewing the outcomes is critical to a continuous improvement process. By identifying what went well and what didn't, the organization can refine its response plans and increase future resilience. So, why the other options are incorrect? Option A, focusing exclusively on technical aspects overlooks essential non technical components like communication, legal obligations, and business continuity. And option D, limiting scenarios to only common threats may leave the organization vulnerable to emerging or high impact threats that are less frequent but more severe. For example, nation state attacks. Question number 57. In preparation for potential cybersecurity incidents, a financial organization is planning to conduct training for its employees. To maximize the effectiveness of the training program, which two of the following components should be prioritized? We have to select two options, and the options are option A, focusing on the specific security risk and scenarios relevant to the financial sector. Option B, providing general information about the history of cybersecurity and past incidents. Option C, offering role based training tailored to the responsibilities of different employees groups. And option D, including a module on the use of personal devices and social media in the workplace. The correct options are option A, focusing on the specific security risks and scenarios relevant to the financial sector, and option C, offering role based training tailored to the responsibilities of different employee groups. And the explanation is so option A, sector specific training ensures that employees understand the unique threats and compliance requirements faced by financial organizations such as phishing, wire fraud, data breaches, and regulatory risks. For example, PCI DSS and SOX. PCI DSS is payment card industry and data security standard that deals with the credit card. It is a credit card standard. And SOX is another law basically applicable in US that deals with the customer's financial information. Role-based training ensures that each employee receives relevant and actionable guidance based on their role. For example, a finance officer may need to know about fraud detection while IT staff need to focus on incident response and technical safeguards. So why the other options are less effective? Option B, general history of cybersecurity may be interesting but has limited practical value for preventing current threats. And option D, personal device and social media usage may be part of a broader policy, but it is not as high priority as sector specific threats and role relevant training in a financial organization. Question number 58. An organization's IT department has automated several time consuming security tasks such as page management and log analysis. However, the department is still facing challenges in proactively identifying and mitigating emerging threats. What should the IT department focus on to leverage automation as a workforce multiplier more effectively? And the options are option A, focusing on the specific security risk and scenarios relevant to the financial sector. Option B, providing general information about the history of cybersecurity and past incidents. Option C, offering role based training tailored to the responsibilities of different employee groups. And option D, including a module on the use of personal devices and social media in the workplace. And the correct option is option B, providing general information about the history of cybersecurity and past incidents. And the explanation is, so while automation can handle repetitive tasks like patching and log analysis, it's the human expertise that interprets results, identifies patterns, and makes strategic decisions. By training staff to analyze trends and think proactively, the organization turns automation into a force multiplier, allowing limited personnel to do more with the tools at hand. So why the other options are less effective? Option A, increasing the budget might help, but without skilled staff to use advanced tools effectively, it won't solve the underlying challenge. Option C, outsourcing all security may reduce internal capacity and does not inherently solve proactive threat identification unless tightly managed. And option D, stricter access controls improve security but do not directly address the need to identify emerging threats proactively. Question number 59. During a routine security audit, an IT security analyst discovers that the company's web application is vulnerable to brute force attacks due to weak password policies. What should be the analyst's next step to prevent similar incidents? The options are option A, disable user accounts after 3 consecutive failed login attempts. Option B, implement two-factor authentication for all user accounts. Option C, encrypt all sensitive data stored in the web application's database. And option D, conduct regular penetration testing to identify other potential vulnerabilities. And the correct option is option B, implement two-factor authentication for all user accounts. And the explanation is, so two-factor authentication significantly enhances account security by requiring an additional form of verification beyond just a password. Even if a user password is weak or compromised, two-factor authentication can prevent unauthorized access, making brute force attacks less effective. So why the other options are less effective as the next step? Option A, disabling accounts after failed logins is a useful rate limit tactic, but it alone does not fully mitigate the risk posed by weak passwords. Option C, encrypting sensitive data is important for data replication, but it does not prevent brute force login attempts. And option D, penetration testing helps find other vulnerabilities, but in this case, a known issue such as weak password protection already exists and should be addressed immediately with a preventive control like two-factor authentication. So two-factor authentication as shown in the diagram, besides the traditional username and password, we have another factor such as your smartphone. When you log in, you receive a notification or a PIN code that you need to log in to enter after this login, so that even if this password is compromised, the hacker or the malicious actor still cannot use your accounts since they have not access to your smartphone or this authenticator application. Question number 60. During a physical security assessment of a data center, it is discovered that there are no surveillance cameras in critical areas such as server rooms and entry-exit points. What should be the data center's immediate action to enhance physical security and protect sensitive equipment? And the options are option A, implementing biometric access controls at all entry points. Option B, installing surveillance cameras in critical areas. Option C, conducting regular security awareness training for staff. And option D, upgrading the facilities, firewall, and network security systems. And the correct option is Option B, installing surveillance cameras in critical areas. So surveillance cameras are a fundamental part of physical security. They provide real-time monitoring, deterrent against unauthorized access, and evidence collection in the event of an incident. Since the assessment identified a lack of cameras in critical areas, the immediate action should be to install them to fill that gap. Why the other options are less suitable as the immediate action? Option A, biometric access control are strong security measures but take more time and cost to implement, and cameras are a more immediate fix for the identified issues. Option C, security awareness training is valuable but does not directly address the lack of surveillance. And option D, firewall and network upgrades relate to cybersecurity, not physical security, which is the concern here. Question number 61. Which of the following is an effective tool to stop or prevent the exfiltration of data from a network? And the options are option A, DLP, that is data loss prevention. Option B, NIDS, that is network intrusion detection system. Option C, TPM. And option D, FDE. And the correct option is option A, DLP. So what is a DLP? DLP or data loss prevention is specifically designed to detect and prevent unauthorized transmission or leakage of sensitive data outside the organization's network. It monitors data in use, in motion, and at rest and can block or alert on suspicious activity that could indicate data exfiltration. Why the other options are incorrect? So option B, NIDS, that is network intrusion detection system, detects malicious traffic or intrusion but does not actively block data exfiltration. Option C, TPM, that is trusted platform module, is a hardware chip for secure storage and device integrity checks not related to data exfiltration. And option D, full disk encryption, that is FDE, protects data at rest, not in transit or being exfiltrated. Question number 62. Several attempts have been made to pick the door lock of a security facility. As a result, the security engineer has been assigned to implement a strong preventive access control. Which of the following would best complete the engineer's assignment? And the options are option A, replacing the traditional key with an RFID key. Option B, installing and monitoring a camera facing the door. Option C, setting motion sensing lights to illuminate the door on activity. And option D, surrounding the property with fencing and gates. And the correct option is option A, replacing the traditional key with an RFID key. And the explanation is, so the question specified the need to implement a strong preventative access control due to repeated attempts to pick the door lock. Preventative controls are designed to stop security incidents before they occur. Replacing a traditional key with an RFID key eliminates the vulnerability of the lock picking, which directly addresses the problem. RFID access is more secure and harder to bypass than traditional mechanical locks. Why the other options are less suitable? Option B, installing and monitoring a camera is a detective control, not a preventative one. It helps observe but does not prevent access. Option C, motion sensing lights may deter intruders but do not physically prevent unauthorized access. And option D, fencing and gates enhance perimeter security but do not directly address the door lock issue or provide fine-grained access control. Question number 63. This is 63. Which of the following can be used by a monitoring tool to compare values and detect password leaks without providing the actual credentials? And the options are option A, hashing, option B, tokenization, option C, masking, and option D, encryption. And the correct option is option A, hashing. So what is a hashing? Hashing converts data such as password into a fixed length irreversible value. Monitoring tool can compare hashes to detect password leaks without revealing the actual credentials, making it ideal for secure comparison. For example, if a leaked database contains password hashes, a system can hash a known password and compare it to the leak. If the hash is matched, the password is compromised without ever exposing the original password. Why the other options are incorrect? So option B, tokenization replaces data with a reference token, which is useful for storage but not ideal for comparing value in the leaks. Option C, masking hides part of data, for example, PA, and this data is hide RD. It's for display, not secure comparison. And option D, encryption is reversible with a key. So it is not ideal for comparison without decrypting. Question number 64. A security engineer is building a file transfer solution to send files to a business partner. The users would like to drop off the files in a specific directory and have the server send the file to the business partner. The connection to the business partner is over the internet and needs to be secure. Which of the following can be used? And the options are option A, SMIME, option B, LDAPS, option C, SSH, and option D, SRTP. And the correct option is option C, SSH or secure shell. So SSH or secure shell can be used to create a secure file transfer solution using protocols like SFTP, that is SSH file transfer protocol, or secure file transfer protocol, or SCP, that is secure copy protocol. These protocols allow secure file transfer over the internet using encryption and authentication, and they can be automated so that users simply place files in a specific directory and the server transfers them securely to the business partner. Why the other options are incorrect? Option A, SMIME is used for securing email messages, not file transfer. Option B, LDAPS is LDAP over SSL, which is used for directory services, not file transfer. And option D, SRTP, that is Secure Real-Time Transport Protocol, is used for secure real-time audio and video, not file transfers. Question number 65. An administrator needs to protect user passwords and has been advised to hash the passwords. Which of the following best describes what the administrator is being advised to do? And the options are option A, perform a mathematical operation on the passwords that will convert them into unique strings. Option B, add extra data to the passwords so their length is increased, making them harder to brute force. Option C, store all passwords in the system in a rainbow table that has a centralized location. And option D, enforce the use of one-time passwords that are changed after every login. And the correct option is option A, perform a mathematical operation on the passwords that will convert them into unique strings. And the explanation is, so hashing is the process of applying a one-way mathematical function to the input data like password to produce a fixed length unique string, that is the hash. This string is not reversible, which means the original password cannot be easily derived from the hash. It is a standard method for securely storing the passwords. Why the other options are incorrect? Option B, this refers to salting. which is often used with hashing, but it is not the same as hashing. Option C, Rainbow tables are pre-computed hash lookup tables often used by attackers. They should be defended against, not used for storage. And option D, one-time passwords or OTPs are a different authentication method not relating to hashing stored passwords. Question number 66. Which of the following would be indicative of a hidden audio file found inside of a piece of source code? The options are option A, steganography, option B, homomorphic encryption, option C, cipher suit, and option D, blockchain. And the correct option is option A, steganography. So steganography is the practice of hiding data within other seemingly innocuous data. In this case, if an audio file is hidden inside a piece of source code, it would be an example of steganography. Similarly, hiding data inside an image is also an example of steganography. So the other options such as homomorphic encryption allows computations on encrypted data without decrypting it. Cipher suits refers to a set of cryptographic algorithms used in the network protocols like TLS. And blockchain is a decentralized ledger unrelated to hiding files in code. Question number 67. A user enters a username and a password at the login screen of a web portal or for a web portal. A few seconds later, the following message appears on the screen. Please use a combination of numbers, special characters, and letters in the password field. Which of the following concepts does this message describe? And the options are option A, password complexity, option B, password reuse, option C, password history, and option D, password age. And the correct option is option A, password complexity. So the message, please use a combination of numbers, special characters, and letters in the password field is clearly referring to rules about the structure of the password, which is known as password complexity. Other options, option B, password reuse prevents user from using the same password again. Option C, password history tracks old passwords to stop reuse. And option D, password age refers to how long a password has been in use. Question number 68. Which of the following is a reason to publish files hashes? And the options are option A, to validate the integrity of the files. Option B, to verify if the software was digitally signed. Option C, to use the hash as a software activation key. And option D, to use the hash as a decryption pass phrase. And the correct option is option A, to validate the integrity of the files. So publishing file hashes like MD5 or SHA-1 or SHA-256 allows user to verify the integrity of a downloaded file. So after downloading, a user can generate a hash of the file on their system and compare it to the published hash. So if the hash is matched, the file has not been altered or corrupted. If the hashes do not match, the file has been tampered with or damaged. So why the other options are incorrect? Option B, verifying digital signature involves certificates, not published hashes. Option C, activation keys are not derived from file hashes. And option D, hashes are not used as decryption passphrases. Passphrases are separate from file integrity checks. Question number 69. A security manager has tasked the Security Operations Center that is SOC with locating all web servers that respond to an unsecure protocol. Which of the following commands could an analyst run to find the requested servers? And the options are option A, ns lookup 10.10.10.0, option B, nmap-p 80.10.10.10/20/24, option C, path ping 10.10.10.0-p80, and option D, ne-l-p80. And the correct option is option B, nmap-p, where this P flag stands for port, and this is port number, and this is the network, that is 10.10.10.0/24. So the security manager wants to locate web server responding over an unsecure protocol, which typically means HTTP on port 80, not HTTPS. So the command nmap-p 80.10.10.10.0/24, it uses nmap, a network scanning tool. -p80 tells it to scan devices with port 80 open, that is HTTP, and 10.10.10.0/24 specify a subnet range of IP addresses to scan. So this will return all hosts within that subnet that are accepting HTTP connections. So why the other options are incorrect? Option A, ns lookup 10.10.10.0 is used for DNS queries, not for checking open ports or protocols. Option C, path ping 10.10.10.0-p80. So path ping is a network route diagnostic tool. It does not check for open ports. And option D, ne-l-p80 is likely a typo or misuse of netcat, and even if correct, it's used to listen on a port, not scan. Question number 70. Which biometric error would allow an unauthorized user to access a system? And the options are option A, false acceptance, option B, false entrance, option C, false rejection, and option D, false denial. And the correct option is option A, false acceptance. So a false acceptance occurs when a biometric system incorrectly identifies an unauthorized person as an authorized user, thereby granting them access. This is a security risk as it means the system fails to block an imposter. So other options, option B, false entrance is not a standard biometric term. Option C, false rejection is when a valid user is wrongly denied access. It impacts usability, not security. And option D, false denial is synonym for false rejection, also affects legitimate users, not attackers. Question number 71. A company is auditing the manner in which its European customers' personal information is handled. Which of the following should the company consult? And the options are option A, GDPR, option B, ISO, option C, NIST, and option D, PCI DSS. And the correct option is option A, GDPR. So why is that? So GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation, is a European Union's regulation that governs how companies collect, store, and process the personal data of EU citizens. If a company is auditing how it handles European customers' personal information, it must ensure compliance with GDPR. So why the other options are incorrect? Option B, ISO refers to international standards like ISO, IEC 27001, but not specific to European data privacy laws. Option C, NIST is a US-based cybersecurity framework not legally binding for EU data handling. And option D, PCI DSS focuses on payment card data security, not general personal information. Question number 72. Which of the following are common voice over IP associated vulnerabilities? Choose two options, and the options are option A spam, option B vishing, option C hopping, option D phishing, option E credential harvesting, and option F tailgating. And the correct options are option A spam and option B vishing. So option A spam, that is spam or instant messages. So while spam is traditionally associated with instant messaging, it's also considered a VoIP related vulnerability in systems like soft phones, unified communication platforms, and SIP based messaging, that is session initiated protocol based messaging. Attackers can send unsolicited messages over web-based messaging protocols, sometimes leading to phishing links, malware, or scams. Option B, phishing, that is voice phishing. So this is a classic VoIP threats where attackers use voice calls or VoIP systems to impersonate trusted entities and trick users into disclosing confidential information. So voice over IP enables caller ID spoofing, making phishing more dangerous and scalable. Question number 73. Which of the following describe the exploitation of an interactive process to gain access to restricted areas? And the options are option A, persistence, option B, buffer overflow, option C, privilege escalation, and option D, farming. And the correct option is option C, privilege escalation. So privilege escalation is the exploitation of a vulnerability or an interactive process to gain unauthorized access to restricted areas or higher privileges within a system. So attackers may start with limited access and then exploit flaws in software, services, or system configurations to elevate their privileges, for example, from a regular user to admin or root. This often involves interactive processes such as manipulating running application or scripts. So the other options, option A, persistent, refers to maintaining access after compromise, not gaining it. Option B, buffer overflow, is a specific attack technique that can be used to achieve privilege escalation, but it's not general term describing access escalation. And option D, farming, is a DNS based attack that redirects users to fake websites. It's unrelated to interactive system processes. Question number 74. An organization is planning to open other data centers to sustain operations in the event of a natural disaster. Which of the following considerations would best support the organization's resiliency? And the options are option A, geographic dispersal, option B, generator power, option C, fire suppression, and option D, facility automation. And the correct option is option A, geographic dispersion. So geographic dispersal means placing data centers in different physical locations, ideally in different geographic regions. This ensures that if a natural disaster like an earthquake, flood, or hurricane affects one location, the other data center remains operational, supporting business continuity and disaster recovery. This is the best way to ensure resiliency as it minimizes the risk of a single point of failure due to regional events. Question number 75. A security engineer is deploying a new wireless network for a company. The company shares office space with multiple tenants. Which of the following should the engineer configure on the wireless network to ensure that confidential data is not exposed to unauthorized users? And the options are option A, EAP, option B, TLS, option C, HTTPS, and option D, AES. And the correct option is Option D, AES, that is Advanced Encryption Standard. So the scenario involves setting up a wireless network in a shared office space. So the priority is to protect the confidentiality of data over the air. AES or Advanced Encryption Standard is the encryption algorithm used by WPA2 and WPA3, which are modern standards for securing Wi-Fi traffic. It ensures that even if other tenants are within the range of wireless network, they cannot intercept or read the data. So now let's briefly look at the other options. Option A, AEP or Extensible Authentication Protocol is used for authentication, not for encrypting the data. It helps verify user but does not protect data confidentiality on its own. Option B, TLS, that is transport layer security, is used for encrypting individual sessions like HTTPS websites or secure email. It's not what you configure directly to protect a wireless network's data stream. And option C, HTTPS secures web traffic, not the Wi Fi network itself. While it does encrypt browser traffic, it does not prevent other types of network sniffing on an unprotected wireless network. Question number 76. The Chief Compliance Officer from a bank has approved a background check policy for all new hires. Which of the following is the policy most likely protecting against? And the options are option A, preventing any current employee's sibling from working at the bank to prevent nepotism. Option B, hiring an employee who has been convicted of theft to adhere to industry compliance. Option C, filtering applicants who have added false information to resumes so they appear better qualified. And option D, ensuring no new hires have worked at other banks that may be trying to steal customer information. And the correct option is option B, hiring an employee who has been convicted of theft to adhere to industry compliance. And the explanation is so a background check policy for new hires, especially in a banking environment, is primarily meant to identify past criminal behavior, for example, theft or fraud. It ensures compliance with financial industry regulations and protect the organization from hiring individuals who pose a security or fraud risk. Let's evaluate the other options. Option A, preventing nepotism, that would be addressed through an anti-nepotism policy, not a background check policy. Option C, false information on resumes. This is usually caught during reference checks or verification processes, but not typically the main focus of background checks, which centers on criminal history and financial records. And option D, preventing corporate espionage. So while background checks might reveal past employment, this is not their primary goal, and prior employment alone does not indicate espionage. Question number 77. A technician was dispatched to complete repairs on a server in a data center. While locating the server, the technician entered a restricted area without authorization. Which of the following security controls would best prevent this in the future? Option A, use appropriate signage to mark all areas. Option B, utilize cameras monitored by a guard. Option C, implement access control vestibules. And option D, enforce escorts to monitor all visitors. And the correct option is option C, implement access control vestibules. So access control vestibules, also known as man traps, are physical security controls that require individuals to be authenticated before entering secure areas. They typically consist of two sets of doors. A person must be authenticated to pass through the first door. Once inside the vestibule, the first door closes before the second door opens, often requiring another authentication. So, this setup prevents unauthorized access to restricted areas even if someone accidentally or intentionally tries to enter. Question number 78. Which of the following would best provide a systems administrator with the ability to more efficiently identify systems and manage permissions and policies based on location, role, and service level? And the options are option A, standard naming conventions, option B, domain services, option C, baseline configurations, and option D, diagram. And the correct option is option B, domain services. So, domain services such as Microsoft Active Directory provide centralized authentication, authorization, and management of users, computers, and policies within a network. They allow a system administrator to organize systems and users by location, role, and service level, assign permissions and group policies efficiently, and streamline access control and security policies across the domain. So, this makes the domain services the best option for managing identities and systems at scale. Question number 79. Which of the following would detect intrusions at the perimeter of an airport? And the options are option A, signage, option B, fencing, option C, motion sensors, option D, lighting, and option E, bollards. And the correct option is option C, motion sensors. The motion sensors are designed to detect movement in a designated area and are commonly used at perimeters like those of an airport to detect intrusions in real time. They act as a detective control, alerting security personnel to unauthorized movement near or across the perimeter. Question number 80. A security analyst is concerned about critical vulnerabilities that have been detected on some applications running inside containers. Which of the following is the best remediation strategy? Option A, update the base container image and redeploy the environment. Option B, include the containers in the regular patching schedule for servers. Option C, patch each running container individually and test the application. And option D, update the host in which the containers are running. And the correct option is option A, update the base container image and redeploy the environment. So containers are ephemeral and stateless by design, meaning they can be destroyed and rebuilt easily. The best practice when dealing with vulnerabilities in containerized applications is to update the base image, which includes the OS libraries and dependencies, rebuild the container image with the latest patches, and redeploy the updated containers. This ensures that all containers using that image benefit from the fixes and the environment remains consistent and secure. Question number 81. An organization has decided to purchase an insurance policy because a risk assessment determined that the cost to remediate the risk is greater than the 5-year cost of insurance policy. The organization is enabling risk. Option A, avoidance. Option B, acceptance. Option C, mitigation. And option D, transference. And the correct option is option D, risk transference. So, when an organization purchases insurance to protect against a potential loss, it is transferring the financial risk to another party, that is the insurance company. This is known as a risk transference. In this case, rather than spending a large amount to remediate the risk directly, the organization chooses to pay a smaller, predictable cost, that is insurance premium, over time, allowing the insurer to absorb the potential impact. Question number 82. A security analyst receives an alert from the company's team that anomalous activity is coming from a local source IP address of 192.168.34.26. The Chief Information Security Officer asks the analyst to block the originating source. Several days later, another employee opens an internal ticket stating that vulnerability scans are no longer being performed properly. The IP address the employee provides is 192.168.3.26. Which of the following describes this type of alert? And the options are option A, true negative, option B, true positive, option C, false positive, and option D, false negative. And the correct option is option C, false positive. So a false positive occurs when a security system like a SIEM solution incorrectly identifies benign activity as malicious. So in this scenario, the SIEM alerted on activity from IP address 192.168.34.26, labeling it as anomalous. Based on this alert, the analyst blocked the IP address. Later, it's discovered that this IP belongs to a vulnerability scanner, which is a legitimate and authorized tool. So thus the alert was a false positive, that is, the system thought it was a threat, but it was actually authorized activity. So quick definition of the other options. Option A, true negative, is that no alert is generated and no malicious activity is occurring. That is, normal behavior generates no alert, which is a correct outcome. And true positive is when alert is generated for actual malicious activity. That is, alert was generated against a real threat. While the false negative is that no alert is generated but malicious activity is happening, that is, system missed the threat. Question number 83. A security analyst wants to reference a standard to develop a risk management program. Which of the following is the best source for the analyst to use? And the options are option A, SSAE SOC 2, option B, ISO 31000, option C, NIST CSF, that is Cybersecurity Framework, and option D, GDPR. And the correct option is option B, ISO 31000. So ISO 31000 is an international standard specifically focused on risk management. It provides principles, frameworks, and processes for managing risk in any organization and is the best choice when developing a risk management program. Let's break down the other options. Option A, SSAE SOC 2 focuses on auditing controls related to security, availability, processing integrity, confidentiality, and privacy. Primarily for service organizations, it's not a risk management framework. Option C, NIST CSF, that is cybersecurity framework. So while it includes risk management elements, its primarily focus is on cybersecurity risk, not enterprise-wide risk management like ISO 31000. And option D, GDPR, is a privacy regulation focused on data protection for EU citizens, not a risk management framework. Question number 84. The Chief Information Security Officer CISO requested a report on potential areas of improvement following a security incident. Which of the following incident response processes is the CISO requesting? And the options are option A, lessons learned, option B, preparation, option C, detection, option D, containment, and option E, root cause analysis. And the correct option is Option A, lessons learned. So the lessons learned phase of the incident response process occurs after the incident has been contained, eradicated, and recovered. Its main goal is to review the incident in detail and identify what went well and what did not, highlight potential areas of improvement, and update policies, procedures, and controls based on findings. So, since the CISO is requesting a report on potential improvements after the incident, this clearly aligns with the lessons learned phase. Question number 85. A company is providing security awareness training regarding the importance of not forwarding social media messages from unverified sources. Which of the following risks would this training help to prevent? And the options are option A, hoaxes, option B, spams, option C, identity fraud, and option D, credential harvesting. And the correct option is option A, hoaxes. So, training users not to forward social media messages from unverified sources is aimed at preventing the spread of hoaxes, that is, false or misleading information often shared to cause panic or confusion, spread disinformation, and trick users into taking unnecessary or harmful actions. So, let's examine the other options. Option B, spam, that is spam or instant messaging, refers to unsolicited messages sent via chat or instant messaging applications. So while similar in medium, the question focuses on forwarding unverified messages, not receiving spam. And option C, identity fraud, involves stealing someone's personal information to impersonate them. This training does not directly address that. And option D, credential harvesting, involves phishing attempts to gather login credentials. While false messages can be a vector, the primary focus here is on hoaxes, not phishing links or credential theft. Question number 86. A security analyst is receiving numerous alerts reporting that the response time of an internet facing application has been degraded. However, the internal network performance was not degraded. Which of the following most likely explains this behavior? And the options are option A, DNS poisoning, option B, MAC flooding, option C, DDoS attack, and option D, ARP poisoning. And the correct option is option C, DDoS attack, that is the distributed denial of service attack. So a distributed denial of service, that is DDoS attack, targets a public facing service or application with high volume of traffic from multiple sources to overwhelm its resources, resulting in degraded response time or unavailability. In this scenario, the internet facing application is slow or unresponsive, a classic symptom of DDoS attack. The internal network is unaffected, which supports the idea that the attack is coming from external sources, not something internal like address resolution protocol or MAC based attacks. Question number 87. Which of the following will increase the cryptographic security? And the options are option A, high data entropy, option B, algorithms that require less computing power, option C, longer key longevity, and option D, hashing. And the correct option is option A, high data entropy. So what is high data entropy? So high data entropy refers to data that is more random and unpredictable, which is essential for strong cryptographic operations like key generation, random number generation, and initialization vectors. High entropy makes it much harder for attackers to guess or reproduce cryptographic values, thereby increasing overall cryptographic security. Question number 88. Which of the following statement best describes zero-day exploits? And the options are option A, when a zero-day exploit is discovered, the system cannot be protected by any means. Option B, zero-day exploits have their own scoring category in CVSS. Option C, a zero-day exploit is initially undetectable and no page for it exists. And option D, discovering zero-day exploits is always performed via bug bounty programs. And the correct option is option C, a zero-day exploit is initially undetectable and no page for it exists. So a zero-day exploit refers to a new, previously unknown vulnerability that is exploited before the software vendor has released a patch. Key characteristics include no available fix at the time of discovery, hence zero day to patch it, often undetectable by traditional security tools initially, and can be exploited in the wild before anyone is aware of it. Question number 89. A company wants to restrict emailing of PHI, that is personal health information document, or patient health information document. The company is implementing a DLP solution, that is data loss prevention solution. In order to restrict PHI document, which of the following should be performed first? And the options are option A, retention, option B, governance, option C, classification, and option D, change management. And the correct option is option C, classification. So before data loss prevention solution can effectively detect and restrict sensitive data like PHI, that is protected health information, the data must first be classified. So classification involves identifying and labeling data based on sensitivity level, for example, public, confidential, PHI, etc., helping the DLP system recognize which documents contain PHI and enabling automated enforcement of policies to block, quarantine, or alert on data handling violations. Question number 90. Which of the following describes the continuous delivery software development methodology? Option A, waterfall, option B, spiral, option C, V-shaped, and option D, agile. And the correct option is option D, agile. And the explanation is, so continuous delivery, that is CD, is a core practice within the agile software development methodology. It focuses on automating the software release process, ensuring that software can be safely and reliably released to production at any time, and delivering frequent incremental updates to applications. Agile promotes iterative development, collaboration, and flexibility, which aligns perfectly with continuous delivery goals. Question number 91. An organization wants to participate in threat intelligence information sharing with peer groups. Which of the following would most likely meet the organization's requirement? And the options are option A, perform OSINT investigation, that is open source intelligence investigation. Option B, subscribe to threat intelligence feeds. Option C, submit RFCs. And option D, implement a taxi server. And the correct option is option D, implement a taxi server. So taxi, that is trusted automated exchange of indicator information, is a protocol specifically designed for sharing cyber threat intelligence or CTI between organizations in an automated and standard way. It works with STIX, that is structured threat information expression format, to structure the data. A taxi server allows organizations to exchange threat intelligence securely and efficiently with peer groups, ISACs, government entities, or private partners. This aligns directly with the requirement to participate in threat intelligence information sharing. Question number 92. Which of the following is the most effective control against zero-day vulnerabilities? And the options are option A, network segmentation, option B, page management, option C, intrusion prevention system, and option D, multiple vulnerability scanners. And the correct option is option A, network segmentation. So zero-day vulnerabilities are flaws that are not yet known to the vendor and for which no patch is available at the time of exploitation. This makes traditional defenses like patching or signature-based detection ineffective until the vulnerability is disclosed and mitigated. So why a network segmentation is most effective? It is because it limits the spread of attacks within the network. It isolates critical systems, making it harder for attackers to move laterally. It reduces the impact of a successful zero-day exploit, and it works proactively even if the vulnerability is unknown. Question number 93. Which of the following is the greatest security concern when outsourcing code development to third-party contractor for an internet-facing application? The options are option A, intellectual property theft, option B, elevated privileges, option C, unknown backdoor, and option D, quality assurance. And the correct option is option C, unknown backdoor. So when outsourcing code development, especially for internet-facing applications, the greatest security concern is the possibility of a malicious or unintentional backdoor being inserted into code. These backdoors can allow attackers unauthorized access to systems, bypassing authentication or other controls, and they can be difficult to detect during regular testing. Here is why the other options are less critical in comparison. Option A, intellectual property theft is a business and legal concern, but it does not pose the same direct threat to system security as a backdoor does. Option B, elevated privileges. While important, contractors can be restricted by policies, monitoring, and sandbox environments. A backdoor can bypass all of that. And option D, quality assurance. Poor quality assurance may lead to vulnerabilities, but it's not as intentionally dangerous as a hidden backdoor. Question number 94. An organization has hired a red team to simulate attack on its security posture. Which of the following will the blue team do after detecting an IOC that is indicator of compromise? And the options are option A, re-image the infected workstations. Option B, activate runbooks for incident response. Option C, conduct forensics on the compromised system. And option D, conduct passive reconnaissance to gather information. And the correct option is option B, activate runbooks for incident response. And the explanation is, so when a blue team defensive security team detects an indicator of compromise, that is IOC, during a red team exercise or real attack, the first step is to follow established incident response procedure, often documented as runbooks. Breakdown of the incorrect options. Option A, re-image the impacted stations. So this may happen later during containment or recovery, but not the first step upon detection. Option C, conduct forensics on the compromised system. It is important, but it's part of the investigation phase, which comes after initial incident response actions are triggered. And option D, conduct passive reconnaissance to gather information. So this is an offensive tactic usually performed by red teams or attackers, not a blue team response. Question number 95. An amusement park is implementing a biometric system that validates customers' fingerprint to ensure they are not sharing tickets. The park's owner values customer above all and would prefer customers' convenience or security. For this reason, which of the following features should the security team prioritize first? And the options are option A, low FAR, or FAR, that is false acceptance rate, option B, low efficiency, option C, low FRR, that is false rejection rate, and option D, low CR, that is centralized error rate. And the correct option is option C, low FRR. So the FRR, or false rejection rate, refers to how often authorized users are incorrectly rejected by the biometric system. Since the amusement park owner values customer convenience above all, the system should minimize the chances of rejecting legitimate customers, even if that means slightly reduced security. Here is a breakdown of incorrect options. Option A, low FAR, that is low false acceptance rate. So this minimizes unauthorized access, which is important for security, but in this scenario, customer experience is more important than security. And low efficacy, this is not a standard biometric metric and likely a distractor. High efficacy is usually desirable. And low CR, so CR is crossover error rate. CR is a balance between FAR and FRR. While important, prioritizing customer convenience means focusing specifically on reducing FRR, not balancing both rates. Question number 96. Which of the following organizations sets frameworks and controls for uptime security organization and systems? And the options are option A, ISO, option B, GDPR, option C, CIDSS, and option D, NIST. And the correct option is option D, NIST. So NIST, that is National Institute of Standard and Technology, develops security frameworks, guidelines, and control baselines that help organizations establish optimal security configurations for systems, networks, and data. Example include NIST SP 800-53, which is a security and privacy control standard, and NIST Cybersecurity Framework, or CSF, is used for improving critical infrastructure cyber security. So why the other options are incorrect? Option A, ISO. So while ISO 27001 provides an information security management framework, it is more strategic and management focused than technical system configuration guidelines. Option B, GDPR, which is a data privacy regulation from EU, is not a technical framework or control set for system configuration. And option C, PCI DSS, which is a standard, which is a security standard for handling payment payment card data, but is specific to payment environment and does not offer broad system security configuration guidelines. Question number 97. An organization discovered files with proprietary financial data have been deleted. The files have been recovered from backup, but every time the chief financial officer logs into the financial file server, the same files are deleted again. No other users are experiencing this issue. Which of the following types of malware is most likely causing this behavior? The options are option A, logic bomb, option B, crypto malware, option C, spyware, and option D, remote access Trojan. And the correct option is option A, logic bomb. And the explanation is, so a logic bomb is a type of malicious code that triggers when specific conditions are met. For example, when a specific user logs in or a particular action is performed. In this case, the CFO logs in and files are deleted automatically, but no other users experience the issue. This strongly indicates a logic bomb designed to trigger only under a specific condition, that is during CFO login, making it most likely cause. Question number 98. A security analyst has identified malware spreading through the corporate network and has activated SIRT. Which of the following should the analyst do next? So CSIRT is Computer Security and Incident Response Team, and the options are: option A, review how the malware was introduced to the network; option B, attempt to quarantine all infected hosts to limit further spread; option C, create help desk tickets to get infected systems re-imaged; and option D, update all endpoints and virus solutions with latest updates. And the correct option is option B, attempt to quarantine all infected hosts to limit further spread. And the explanation is, so once the CSIRT, that is Computer Security Incident Response Team, activated and malware has been identified, the immediate priority is containment, that is preventing the malware from spreading further within the network. So quarantining infecting systems is a critical containment step, helping isolate compromised machines and limit the damage. Question number 99. During an incident response, an analyst applied rules to all inbound traffic on the border firewall and implemented ACLs on each critical server. Following an investigation, the company realizes it is still vulnerable because outbound traffic is not restricted and the adversary is able to maintain a presence in the network. In which of the following stages of the cyber kill chain is the adversary currently operating? And the options are: option A, reconnaissance; option B, command and control; option C, actions on objective; and option D, exploitation. And the correct option is option B, command and control. So in the cyber kill chain, the command and control stage is where an attacker establishes a persistent communication channel between the compromised system and an external server. This allows the adversary to maintain a presence in the network, send commands to infected, and exfiltrate data or perform further actions. In this scenario, the firewall and ACLs were configured for inbound traffic, but outbound traffic was left unrestricted, so allowing the attacker to maintain control of compromised systems. This clearly indicates the adversary is in command and control phase. Question number 100. A recent security breach exploited software vulnerabilities in the firewall and within the network management solution. Which of the following will most likely be used to identify when the breach occurred through each device? And the options are: option A, SIEM correlation dashboards; option B, firewall syslog event logs; option C, network management solution login audit logs; and option D, bandwidth monitors and interface sensor. And the correct option is option A, SIEM correlation dashboards. So a SIEM, that is security information and event management solution, collects, correlates, and analyzes logs and events from multiple sources like firewalls, servers, applications, and network management systems. When a breach involves multiple devices, for example, a firewall and a network management solution, the best way to identify when and how the breach occurred across these systems is by using correlation capabilities of a SIEM dashboard. So this dashboard basically enables timeline reconstruction, cross-system correlation, centralized visibility, and alerting based on abnormal activity patterns. So that's it for this video. So please subscribe and like the video. I will also upload the next video containing the practice questions of the important topics. And I am confident and assure you that going through these videos, the practice question video, you will perform very well on the exam. So let see you in the next video.